Forget protein powder. This natural food stops muscle loss instantly. Most people believe that muscle loss is just a normal part of aging, that once you pass 40, 50 or 60, weakness is inevitable, and that the only solution is expensive protein powders, synthetic shakes, or gym routines that feel impossible. But the human body was never designed to depend on factory-made powders. Nature already provided a food that nourishes muscle tissue, protects strength, and supports repair without stressing the kidneys, without additives, and without chemicals. And that food is lentils. Now don't underestimate them because they're simple. The most powerful healing foods are often the most humble. Muscle loss is not a punishment for getting older, and it is not a flaw in your genetics. It is a quiet nutritional failure happening deep inside the cell, long before weakness shows up in the mirror or a fall happens in real life. Science now confirms that adults can lose up to 1% of their muscle mass every single year after the age of 40, not because the body suddenly forgets how to build muscle, but because muscle cells stop receiving the exact combination of nutrients required to repair themselves. Researchers studying aging muscles discovered something shocking. Even people who consume enough protein often continue to lose muscle, because the problem is not protein intake, it is protein utilization. Muscle cells are not bricks that you stack with raw material. They are living tissues that require oxygen, minerals, enzymes, stable blood sugar, and low inflammation to accept and use amino acids. When these conditions are missing, muscle tissue quietly dissolves, even in people who drink protein shakes daily. This is why hospitals see severe muscle wasting in patients who are technically well-fed, and why modern societies with high protein consumption still suffer epidemic levels of weakness, frailty, and falls. The body is not starving for protein, it is starving for usable nutrition. When inflammation is high, amino acids are diverted away from muscle repair and used instead for emergency responses. When blood sugar spikes repeatedly, insulin resistance blocks amino acids from entering muscle cells. When digestion weakens with age, large isolated proteins pass through the gut without being fully broken down. This is where the modern obsession with protein powders begins to collapse under scientific scrutiny. Protein powders deliver amino acids in unnatural concentrations, stripped of fiber, minerals, and protective compounds, causing sharp spikes in blood, amino acids that the body cannot manage efficiently. Studies show that excess isolated protein increases nitrogen waste, placing stress on the kidneys and liver while failing to improve long-term muscle preservation in older adults. In contrast, whole food protein sources behave very differently in the body, especially when they arrive slowly, packaged with fiber and minerals that guide their absorption. Lentils are one of the most overlooked examples of this biological intelligence. Lentils contain plant-based protein, yes, but more importantly, they deliver that protein in a form the aging body can actually use. Their soluble fiber slows digestion, preventing blood sugar spikes that directly trigger muscle breakdown hormones. Their magnesium activates enzymes required for muscle contraction and repair. Their iron improves oxygen delivery to muscle tissue, which is essential because muscle regeneration cannot occur without adequate oxygen. Their B vitamins support nerve signaling, ensuring muscles receive the electrical messages needed to stay active and alive. Research on muscle protein synthesis shows that muscles respond better to a steady stream of amino acids over time than to large, sudden doses. And this is exactly how lentils behave in the digestive system. Instead of overwhelming the bloodstream, they nourish it. Instead of forcing growth, they create conditions for repair. This is why populations that rely heavily on lentils and legumes maintain functional strength into old age, despite consuming far less protein than Western societies. Their muscles are not being assaulted by inflammation, blood sugar chaos, and digestive overload. They are being quietly supported day after day. One of the most alarming health facts rarely discussed is that muscle loss accelerates dramatically when gut health declines, because up to 70% of protein absorption efficiency depends on digestive strength and microbial balance. Lentils feed beneficial gut bacteria, which in turn improve amino acid absorption and reduce systemic inflammation. This creates a feedback loop where muscles receive better nutrition with less strain on the body. In contrast, protein powders bypass this system entirely, offering no support to the gut and often worsening bloating, irritation, and malabsorption. Another shocking truth is that muscle tissue is highly sensitive to oxidative stress, and lentils contain polyphenols that reduce cellular damage, protecting muscle fibers from premature breakdown. This means lentils are not just feeding muscle, they are defending it. The idea that aging muscles need more aggressive supplementation is backward. Aging muscles need gentler, smarter nourishment. They need foods that work with digestion, not against it. They need blood sugar stability, not spikes. They need mineral support, not isolated compounds. This is why muscle loss often begins silently in people who believe they are doing everything right. They are counting grams instead of understanding biology. They are chasing strength instead of supporting recovery. The body was never designed to rebuild itself from powders manufactured in laboratories. It was designed to rebuild from whole foods that arrive with instructions encoded in their structure. Lentils are one of those foods. They do not promise instant bulk or dramatic transformations, but they do something far more powerful. They stop the slow, invisible erosion of strength that most people mistake for aging. When muscle cells receive steady amino acids, adequate minerals, stable blood sugar, and low inflammation, they choose survival over breakdown. They repair instead of retreating. They hold on. This is not theory, it is physiology. Muscle loss is not destiny, it is a signal, and when you respond to that signal with the right nourishment, the body responds with strength. After the age of 40, the human body changes in ways most people are never warned about, and one of the most dangerous changes happens silently, inside the muscle cell, long before weakness, frailty, or pain ever appear. Research shows that after midlife, the body becomes less responsive to isolated protein, a phenomenon scientists call anabolic resistance, meaning muscle tissue no longer reacts to large doses of protein the way it once did. This is why so many adults consume more protein than ever before, and yet grow weaker every decade. The shocking truth is that flooding the bloodstream with protein does not overcome this resistance, it often makes it worse. High doses of isolated protein spike insulin and inflammatory markers, which directly block amino acids from entering muscle cells. Instead of being used for repair, these amino acids are burned for energy or excreted as waste, placing strain on the kidneys and liver without preserving muscle. Studies on older adults repeatedly show that simply increasing protein intake does not prevent muscle loss unless digestion, insulin sensitivity, and inflammation are addressed at the same time. This is where whole plant proteins demonstrate a biological advantage that modern supplements cannot replicate. Lentils and other legumes deliver protein in a slow, regulated manner that aligns with how aging muscle actually functions. Muscle tissue after 40 responds best to a continuous, low-level supply of amino acids, not sudden surges. This steady delivery keeps muscle protein synthesis active for longer periods, preventing breakdown instead of triggering short-lived growth, followed by rapid decline. Fiber plays a central role in this process, and lentils are rich in soluble fiber that stabilizes blood glucose levels. This matters because unstable blood sugar is one of the fastest accelerators of muscle wasting. Each spike triggers cortisol, a hormone that breaks down muscle tissue to raise blood glucose. Over time, this creates a cycle where muscle is sacrificed daily to manage sugar imbalance. Lentils interrupt this cycle by slowing carbohydrate absorption and improving insulin sensitivity, allowing amino acids to enter muscle cells efficiently. One of the most overlooked facts in muscle science is that insulin sensitivity is as important as protein intake when it comes to preserving muscle. Without it, even the highest quality protein becomes biologically useless. Plant-based proteins like lentils also reduce chronic inflammation, another major driver of muscle loss after 40. Inflammation sends chemical signals that tell the body to break down tissue instead of repairing it. Animal studies and human population research consistently show that diets high in legumes are associated with lower inflammatory markers and better muscle function in aging adults. This is not coincidence, it is chemistry. Lentils contain polyphenols and antioxidants that protect muscle fibers from oxidative stress, which damages mitochondria, the energy centers of muscle cells. When mitochondria are damaged, muscles weaken even if protein intake is high. This is why strength can disappear even in people who exercise regularly. Muscle is not just tissue, it is energy, circulation, and nerve communication combined. Lentils support all three. Their magnesium content activates over 300 enzymatic reactions, many directly involved in muscle contraction and relaxation. Their potassium supports nerve signals that keep muscles responsive. Their iron improves oxygen delivery, and oxygen is non-negotiable for muscle repair. Without oxygen, protein synthesis stalls. One of the most shocking discoveries in nutrition science is that populations consuming modest amounts of plant protein maintain mobility and strength far longer than populations consuming large amounts of animal protein and supplements. The difference is not genetics, it is metabolic health. Whole plant proteins do not burden the body with excess nitrogen waste, which increases with age and impairs kidney function. Instead, they integrate seamlessly into the body's repair systems. Protein powders, by contrast, arrive stripped of the very compounds that make protein usable. They contain no fiber to guide absorption, no minerals to activate enzymes, and no protective antioxidants to shield muscle cells from damage. They demand that the body adapt to them, rather than supporting the body's natural processes. After 40, the body loses this adaptability. It becomes less forgiving, more sensitive, and more easily inflamed. This is why aggressive supplementation backfires. The body responds not with strength, but with stress. Muscle preservation after 40 is not about pushing harder or consuming more. It is about reducing biological resistance. Lentils lower that resistance. They make muscle repair easier, not harder. Another critical factor is gut health, which deteriorates with age and plays a direct role in muscle loss. Up to 70% of immune and metabolic signaling originates in the gut, and poor gut health dramatically reduces protein absorption. Lentils feed beneficial gut bacteria that improve nutrient uptake and reduce inflammation, creating an internal environment where muscle can survive. This gut-muscle connection is now one of the fastest growing areas of aging research, and legumes consistently emerge as protective foods. When digestion improves, muscle follows. When inflammation drops, strength stabilizes. When blood sugar becomes steady, muscle stops being sacrificed for energy. This is why lentils outperform isolated protein in real-world outcomes, not just laboratory measurements. They do not create artificial muscle growth. They preserve what you already have. And preservation is everything after 40. Muscle once lost is incredibly difficult to rebuild, but muscle protected can last a lifetime. The idea that strength must inevitably fade with age is one of the most damaging myths in modern health. The body is not designed to collapse, it is designed to adapt, if given the right conditions. Whole plant protein provides those conditions. Lentils do not promise miracles, but they prevent decline, and preventing decline is the true secret to lifelong strength. When muscle is nourished gently, consistently, and intelligently, it chooses survival, and survival, sustained over years, becomes strength.